All right, we are moving into our geometry unit, and we're going to start off with problem solving with angles. So we have three lines here, AD, BE, and CF. They're all intersecting at point O, and AD is perpendicular to FC, which means they're forming 90-degree angles. The angle EOD is labeled 32 degrees. What is the measure of angle AOB? So if I look, we need to figure out the measure of this angle right here. What is that one? Well, if we look, it is exactly opposite of that 32 degrees. So it is the exact same. Those are called vertical angles, and we'll talk about those in a little bit, but angle AOB is 32 degrees. So I'm going to label that one. So it says, what is the measure of angle FOD? So then FOD is here. So F to O to D. So what is that? Well, it would be 90-degree angles as well, because this angle here and this angle here form this straight line right here, and a straight line measures 180 degrees. Oops, an eraser. There we go. So FOD would be 90 degrees, and how would we know? Because it forms a straight line with the other angle given there. Name two adjacent angles that form FOD. So let's talk about the word adjacent. And that just means next to. So which two angles that are adjacent that together form angle FOD? So let's go back up here. And FOD there is in the blue. And as you can tell, you can see this here, dividing that up into two different angles. So we have this angle and we have this angle. So we have angle FOE and EOD. So FOE and EOD. Oops. FOE and angle EOD. And what is the sum of their measures? Well, together they would make 90 degrees. We just said that that angle was 90 degrees in the last question. So if we added those two smaller ones together, we would still get that 90 degrees. And then what is the measure of angle FOE for part C here? So if I go back up here, FOE is this one right here. So we know that together they make 90. And we know the smaller piece is 32. So we can do 90 minus 32, which would give us 58. So FOE is 58 degrees. And our explanation is that 90 minus 32 to figure out what is missing. And then it says together FOE. Let's see if I can put both of these in the picture so we can label what we're talking about. So let me erase all of this. FOE, which is 58 here. FOA, which is that 90 here. And AOB, and AOB right here, that's already labeled 32, form a line or a straight angle that measures 180 degrees. Explain how you can find the measure of angle AOB. So if we didn't already know that 32 degrees from figuring out that it was vertical, this is another way to figure them out. So if you look, you have this straight line right here, and it's broken into three different angles. We know one's 58, one is 90, and we don't know the third one. So what we can do is add together what we know. So the 90 plus the 58 is 148. And then we also know that they form a straight line, which is 180 degrees. So we subtract the 148 from 180. So that would be 32. So that's another way to prove that that angle is 32 degrees, other than just knowing it's a vertical angle from the other one that's given to us. So that's my explanation there for part D. I'm not going to rewrite all of that. All right, couple of vocab words. You probably know what a right angle is. That's a 90-degree angle. It's shown on a picture by that little square in the corner. So if I have a right angle, they're always labeled like that. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So if I add two angles together and I get 90 degrees, then they're complementary angles. Supplementary are the exact same thing, except for when we add them together, we're going to get 180 degrees. And then vertical angles I kind of talked about above are opposite angles, and their measures are the exact same. So they're across that common point from each other. They're opposite spots. So using that information, we need to answer the following questions. So we have the same picture again. And the question says, what kind of angles are FOE and BOC? So FOE is this angle here, and BOC is this angle here. Now, we figured out that this one was 58 degrees before. We figured out this one was 32. So these look like they're opposite. They're across that common point. So I would say that these are vertical angles, and they would have the same measurement. So that would be a 58-degree angle as well. Now next is, let me do it in a different color, AOB. So AOB would be this one, and BOC, which would be this one. So they're right next to each other. And if you look together, they form this, which is a right angle. So these are complementary because they form a 90-degree angles. Now, how do you remember which one's complementary, which one's supplementary? The easiest thing I think of is alphabetical order. C comes before S in the alphabet, so C is going to be the smaller of the two. So you have to remember the 90 and the 180, but if you just think about their spots in the alphabet, C is before S, so C is going to be smaller. So C is complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. So just a hint to kind of help you out there. All right, in this figure shown, what is the measure of angle ADC? It's shown there with the little blue angle mark and then a question mark. So the first thing that I notice is that it's a vertical angle with that x minus 7. So I know that this is x minus 7 because it's the same. Vertical angles are the same. Then the second thing I notice is that these two angles together are making this straight line. They are also making this straight line. These two angles are making that straight line. So I could have jumped right to that, but for some reason I noticed the vertical angles first. So now I know that a straight line is 180 degrees. So I know that x minus 7 plus 2x plus 1 is going to give me 180 degrees because they make a straight line. So now I'm going to put like terms together. So x plus 2x is 3x. Negative 7 and positive 1 would be negative 6 equals 180. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So that's 186. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And 186 divided by 3 is 62. So x is 62. That's not our answer. Our answer is x minus 7. So now I have to do 62 minus 7, which is 55. So the measure of that angle is 55 degrees. And see, I told you those equations that we were solving weren't going to go away. We use them in a lot of stuff. So that's why I really wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to solve those. All right, so then since you know the measure of angle ADC, so since we just figured out that was 55, what is the measure of CDE? So CDE is that 2x plus 1. Well, I can do the same thing. I can do two things, actually. I can plug that 62 in for the x. So I can do 2 times 62 and then add 1 to that. So I would get 125. Or I could have done 180 minus that 55. And I would have ended up with 125 as well. So this angle is 125 and this angle is 55. So two different ways you could have done that one. And then the other one is EDF. So EDF is the one in red there that says x minus 7 as well. So again, vertical angles. So that one is going to be 55. Jeez. Okay. So this one's 125 and this one's 55 degrees. All right, last one. In the rectangle, KLMN, NK and MK are extended as shown in the diagram below. The measure of MKL is x, so it's labeled x degrees, and the measure of NKM is x plus 14, and that's labeled as well. It has to have the little arrow drawn over there. Find the measure of angle PKQ. So PKQ is shown there with the question mark in it. So it is going to be the exact same as that x plus 14, but we need to know what x is first. So since we know these two, and they form a 90-degree angle there, we know that we can do x plus 14 plus x and get 90 degrees. So combine like terms, x plus x is 2x's plus 14 equals 90. And we're going to have to subtract 14. So we're going to have 2x equals 76. And then we're going to have to divide by 2. And that is 38. So x is 38. We need to figure out what x plus 14 is. So now we got to do 38 plus 14. So that would be 12. That would be 52 degrees. So if this angle here is 52, so is this angle right here. So 52 degrees is the measure of angle PKQ. Since we know the measure of angle PKQ, what is the measure of angle MKL? So MKL is just x, and we figured out that was 38 degrees when we solved. 38 degrees, and and NKM. So NKM is that vertical angle, so it's 52 as well. So we already labeled those up